It's your boy, Coach Defense here. Thanking you for supporting the channel. Become a lockdown defender by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And if you're enjoying your time, hit that like button. Help us grow in the community. Now check out our latest video. Leave a comment. And as always, you got to step up to lock it down. Let's take a ride down I-95. And let's stop at Atlanta. Atlanta Falcons, to say they were struggling right now might be an insult to the word struggling.
Oh,
They have lost 4 in a row and had a bye week in between that. Quote, right the ship, and they still look bad as a unit.
right.
Kirk Cousins is at the forefront of this conversation because he has been one of the main reasons why this losing streak has been going on. During their skid, after having a comfortable lead in the division by beating Tampa Bay twice, they have now lost the division lead and as of today are out of the playoffs. So I said a couple of weeks ago, again, I have not seen such a quick fall off in my life. I do not believe. 1 year to the next is one thing. One season you great, next season you come back is not that great. Look at Aaron Rodgers. But
Right.
mid-season, you fall off a cliff. It's baffling to me. So I also mentioned if he continued on his path, it might be time to call up Michael Penix from the bullpen to get some relief. Right? So The head coach said he was sticking with Cousins in the press conference yesterday. So do you think that is the right move, being that they're still technically in the playoff running, if they turn things around? Do you still think there's the right move to stay with Cousins, or should they move on?
I think they're only doing it because they're one game out from being able to be leading in the division. So do I think it's right? I think it's the most sensible thing to do right now to cement a change if it has to happen.
Okay.
That's what I believe. You know what you have with Michael. Well, you don't know what you have in Michael Penix Jr. because he hasn't played, but you have him in the fold. You know you have him waiting.
Right.
So it's one of those situations. If I'm going to make this change, I meaning Raheem, want to ensure that we exhausted all possibilities. And that if this change has to happen, it's not, oh man, I'm getting it back together, da-da-da-da. No, we're making this change because clearly you can't right the ship, right? And over these last 4 games, I think it's 8 interceptions he's thrown over these last 4 games.
No. I got it right here. I'm not gonna let you go out without having a proper numbers here. Here's your numbers here. This is the stat line for the entirety of the season. As a whole, he's 3,396 yards passing. He has 17 touchdowns and 15 picks.
Yep. So last 4 games, 8 interceptions. 4 interceptions against the Chargers.
Right. No touchdowns in that stretch either.
4 games, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Yep.
So that means when he came into the game against New Orleans, he was 17-7.
Yep.
And since then, all those interceptions, all those L's served hot and fresh, butter, and a side of coffee.
That's it.
We've been getting L's served up hot and fresh for you, left and right.
Yep.
So, again, after this Vegas game, if the same thing holds true, I'm going to say they make the change. But here's a crazy stat to look. Outside of the game against Denver, look how many attempts he's had.
We got 24 against Dallas in the win. We've got 38 against New Orleans in a loss. We got 27 against Denver. We got 39 against Chargers and 37 against Minnesota.
The Dallas win, 24. The Tampa Bay win, 29. The Carolina win, 30. The Tampa Bay win, Jesus, 58. Jesus.
And that was only a 6-point victory at that. He had 509 yards, 4 touchdowns in the pick, and he still only won by 6.
That's telling me you have Bijan Robinson. We got to get these attempts down. Let's get him to about 28.
They got one of the best O-lines in the league. They got Algier and Robinson. They should be running them boys a lot more. Should be utilizing
a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more. So, yeah, I say this is the last game. After this, with 3 games left, you got to make a push, because in them next 3 games, if you go out 2-1, you may have a chance. I don't see them beating Washington, but the
other 3 games are gimmies.
Except Carolina, you can't say that about Carolina.
Right. I'm sorry, my bad. My apologies. My apologies.
The Carolina that we saw in the beginning of the season, and the Carolina.
I'm sorry, Bryce Young. I wasn't familiar with your game.
That Carolina is not the same Carolina that we knew.
These are facts. I'm sorry. My bad. My bad. You're right. But 2 out of 4 are very winnable games.
Yes.
2 out of 4. So I'll argue this, because you're technically one game back. You got a tiebreaker. You beat Tampa Bay twice. So even if you tie with them, you could win the division.
Right.
Because you also have to look at it from this perspective. It's twofold. Before I get into my reasons why they should or should not. You have to keep pace with Tampa Bay. And you can't guarantee that they're going to lose out either. They got the Chargers this week, and they got a decent schedule going into the back end of the season. But you can't bank on them losing. You're already a game back. So if you mess around and lose to a 3rd or 4th string quarterback, whatever they got going on in Raiders Nation right now, if you lose to them, that's now you 1.5, maybe 2 games back. Pray that the Chargers don't lose to the Buccaneers, but regardless, at some point, you don't want to get too far behind with not a whole lot of games to play. Is my point. And if you don't win a division, you will not make the playoffs, because 3 teams are coming out of the North and 2 are coming out of the East. So only 1 out of the South and 1 out of the West are coming out, period. So you got to win a division. So you need to strike while the iron's hot if your goal is to make the playoffs.
True.
So now to my reason why not they should make this change. And this is what the water gets murky for me. And business gets in the way of winning. We talked about this earlier with the Eagles, right? I believe that Raheem knows without saying, the owner saying it. I feel like he knows this without Arthur Blank saying this. But I am paying Kirk Cousins $150 million. He needs to be playing. So Penix is young. He can wait. That's what the owner is saying.
Yep.
But you have to see Kurt's numbers in the past 5 games. We just looked at it, and it's not pretty at all.
At all.
I think unless what you've seen in practice from Penix, and he's slow to pick up the offense, which I personally doubt that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I believe Michael Penix to be a very intelligent and very savvy young man. I mean, hell, we watched him go from Indiana to Washington one year and was in a Heisman conversation. So the whole he didn't pick up the offense thing, especially with Zach Robinson and his very, very quarterback friendly OC. I don't see that being the case.
Right.
So outside of that, I don't believe that there's any reason why you shouldn't make the change now.
Okay.
Because, again, I don't think Kirk gives you the best opportunity to win and make the playoffs at this point. I just don't. I think the ship is sailed. I think it's passed. I think he could honestly and truly be talking about or thinking about retirement after this season. He's looking that bad. And for him to be a pocket quarterback, I don't think the Achilles is the issue. I just really think, I say that last week or the week before that, I think he lost his fastball. To see the type of throws and the type of velocity he has or has not had on these throws is not good. And he didn't have the strongest arm to begin with. So when you take away the velocity he once had and accuracy he once had, he's floating these balls up in the air. Pause. That's why he's getting picked off so much.
Right.
So I really believe that if you look at Michael Penix, he gives you the best opportunity to win now. If your goal or you have it in your mind that you want to make the playoffs in year 1, I think he has elements. I mean, he gives you juice, arm strength, mobility, elements of the run game that you can't get with pocket Kirk. I think that's all a factor. And I know in the back of Raheem's mind, he wants to put Penix out there.
Right.
And make the playoffs because that would give him some staying power. Because I took a team and pivoted him off the wrong quarterback, made the playoffs in the first year. That is a feather in the cap, and that lets the GM and the owner know that we're trending in the right direction and we're ahead of schedule.
You
know, but unfortunately, the size of Kirk Cousins' contract is keeping him from pulling the trigger, which will likely, you know, again, which probably what happened to your point. I think I'm going to say 2 games further than that, which from what you said. I think that what they're going to end up doing because of the contract is they're going to wait till they're mathematically eliminated in 2 weeks, and then they're going to throw Penix out there to see what they have. But then it's going to be too late because you drop a game to the Raiders and you drop a game to the Commanders or excuse me, the Giants. I don't think they lose to the Giants. It'd be very hard pressed, you know. But again, if you throw 4 picks like you did against us, then you could lose. You know, so again, I would say that I would argue today, by the time they get to Washington, Michael Penix might be out there. But again, it's going to be too late. You know, you're going to give him 2 games to kind of give him a litmus test, kind of what they did with Patrick Mahomes in this first season. Throw him out there for the last couple of games just to give him some reps. You know, but the whole idea of making the playoffs, the ship's going to be sailed. Ship's going to be sailed. So business and money is going to get in the way of them trying to make the playoffs. And I think that's going to be a travesty because I don't believe they should sacrifice, you know, Kurt's, you know, contract, the size of it for the ability to win games. I'm playing team over person at this moment. This is what I'm doing. Kurt's not getting it done. He's giving me 4 horrible games. Horrible. Give me 4 horrible games. So I would throw Michael out at this point and see if I can get these first 2 out the way because you got Raiders and the Giants. I mean, if Michael Penix can't win those games, then what are we doing here? You know, because all they got to do is run the ball and take care of the ball. That's all they got to do. That's the problem with Kurt's having right now. They're not running the ball effectively and not taking care of the ball. He's giving it away. They're not using Bijan properly. When you got a rookie quarterback, I promise you the OC is going to think in his mind, run first.
True.
So you use Bijan, use Algier, you get Michael Penix out in space, roll him out, let him use that strong arm and get the ball deep down the field to London and Mooney and those guys, and let's go to work and let's make the playoffs, man. Why not? Why not? But again, I think money and business is going to get in the way of this. That's my opinion. That's my take on it.
That would be a shame.
It would be. It would be. But I think that's where it's going to land. And we're going to be shaking our head in a couple of weeks like they should have did it. And they don't. And they did. You know, but, you know, we're not in the room. So,
right.
You know, his current standings, like I said, they're game back. They're 6-7. They're in Tampa Bay 76. You know, you own the tiebreaker, but you lost 4 in a row. So, I don't know. So, I think they should definitely do it, man. But that's just me. I just think they do it. You see how Curry looking at Michael like, you know, he's going to take my job sooner than later.
Sooner or later, he's going to take my job.
Exactly. Okay. You got any final words before we wrap this up?
No.
Okay. All right. So we'll see how things go. But if I was Raheem, man, I would tell Arthur I need to make a change and we want to make the playoffs. But that's just me. That's just me.
That's just me.
Yep. All right.